Reports of Russian hackers attempting to influence the election have some members of the Electoral College rethinking their votes. And at least one is paying a price for it, receiving hate mail and threats. But he says the anger of his fellow Americans will not deter him from putting principle over party. Here's ABC's David Wright.
I like that Putin called me brilliant.
From Russia with love, or at least with strong admiration.
I think it's great if Russia and the United States can actually get together. I think it's fine.
Donald Trump has said he'd like to improve U.S. relations with Moscow.
Wouldn't it be nice if we actually got along with Russia? Wouldn't that be good? I mean, is that a bad thing?
All the more alarming, then, that 17 U.S. intelligence agencies say Russia tried to interfere in the presidential election. Tonight, as the Russian president arrived in Japan, his spokesperson laughed off any suggestion that Vladimir Putin personally ordered the effort to hack the U.S. campaign. But U.S. intelligence officials say they're convinced he did.
For something to be approved at the highest levels of the Russian government, something of this importance, that would require the personal approval of the president.
And tonight, President Obama seemed to agree.
When any foreign government tries to impact the integrity of our elections, we need to take action, and we will, at a time and place of our own choosing.
The very idea of Russian hackers meddling in a U.S. presidential election sounds like the plot of a Cold War political thriller.
Raymond Shaw is the kindest, bravest, warmest, most wonderful human being I've ever known in my life.
The Manchurian Candidate, updated for the digital age.
Raymond Shaw is probably the kindest, bravest, warmest, most selfless human being I've ever known.
But as far-fetched as the whole thing sounds, that notion is now giving some members of the Electoral College second thoughts. This week, more than 60 electors, all but one Democrats, signed a letter requesting an intelligence briefing before they cast their votes Monday.
I'm one of them. I signed on to that letter. For me, I'm concerned when a foreign government intrudes on our national elections. They're not doing it with our best interest in mind.
Trump critics are jumping on the bandwagon, making one last-ditch attempt to stop Donald Trump by trying to sway the Electoral College.
Republican members of the Electoral College, this message is for you.
Today, a group of famous actors, including some veterans of the West Wing, released this video appeal.
As you know, the Constitution gives electors the right to vote for any eligible person.
Any eligible person, no matter which party they belong to.
The actors insist the Founding Fathers intended the Electoral College to serve as a safeguard against an unwise choice.
By voting your conscience, you and other brave Republican electors can give the House of Representatives the option to select a qualified candidate.
The Trump camp is outraged. Just today, Trump tweeted, "If Russia or some other entity was hacking, why did the White House wait so long to act? Why did they only complain after Hillary lost?" Of course, that's misleading. The complaints have been around for months. It even came up in the debates where Trump memorably denied being Vladimir Putin's puppet.
No puppet, no puppet.
It's pretty clear.
You're the puppet.
To get some definitive answers on what the Electoral College is and how it's supposed to work, we've come to Ground Zero. That's Independence Hall, where they debated and signed the Constitution, and this is the National Constitution Center. The Constitution Center is a nonpartisan center devoted to informing Americans about the rules that serve as the foundation of our democracy. Constitutional scholar Jeff Rosen is its president. These are the Founding Fathers?
Here it is. This is the Constitutional Convention, and this is the only place in America where you can find statues of the framers that look exactly like the real guys.
Rosen says it's true. Alexander Hamilton did intend the Electoral College to be a sort of protection against mob rule. What would these guys make of the Hamilton electors, the faithless electors who are planning to switch their votes?
So Hamilton thought that the electors could exercise independent judgment and would be an elite check on the passions of the mob.
He says Hamilton ultimately lost out to James Madison.
After the election of 1800, Madison founds the first political party, the Democratic Republican Party, and pretty soon it's the political parties and not the independent electors who are actually picking the president.
So the Electoral College after that is just a vestige of this original system.
Exactly, that's a good way to put it.
Is there anything in the rules that says how the electors should cast their votes?
There is stuff in state rules that say how electors should cast their vote.
Brett Schifalo, an elector from Washington State, co-founded a rogue effort called the Hamilton Electors. He's trying to get all 538 electors behind a unity Republican candidate that isn't Donald Trump.
What Alexander Hamilton outlined about the Electoral College was the fact that they were last line of defense against an unfit president.
This week, the Hamilton electors went to court, challenging a state law that obliges them to vote for the winner of the general election or face a fine.
We strongly believe that's an unconstitutional law, and we want to prevent the state government from being able to impose that fine.
But even with that law still in place, Schifalo says he's willing to risk the $1,000 fine in order to vote his conscience.
We believe Donald Trump is clearly unfit for office, and we want to encourage and support any Republican electors and Democratic electors who want to make that choice as well.
Other electors say they've been bombarded with pleas to go rogue. One Iowa elector says he's had more than 100,000 calls, letters, or emails urging him to do it. Texas elector Chris Suprin says after he wrote an op-ed in the New York Times announcing his plans not to vote for Trump, he's gotten lots of positive feedback.
You are an inspiration. Love Trump's hate.
And a few death threats.
The worst thing that I've received in the mail from a threat perspective is a threat to rape my wife and daughters before they kill me if I do not vote for Mr. Trump.
He says he supported Trump during the election, but is now convinced Trump is unfit to serve as commander-in-chief.
I saw someone who was more interested in his own power than he was in our institutions. I had to look at, is he constitutionally fit for the office I am expected to vote for him on?
It's unclear in the end how many electors will actually go rogue. Today, the AP informally polled the Electoral College members and found only one of them plans to do it for sure. But especially this year, we know the polls can sometimes be wrong. Brett Schifalo of the Hamilton electors insists the number is much higher.
I believe between 50 and 75 Republican electors have deep, grave concerns about Donald Trump.
True, Hillary Clinton won the popular vote. But for better or worse, that wasn't the contest, was it? The Electoral College vote, the one that takes place Monday, isn't a scene from Hamilton.
First time I'm thinking past tomorrow.
It's not even a scene from the West Wing.
I've got a meeting on the Hill.
You go get him, Mr. President.
You bet.
So if you're hoping for a Hollywood ending from the Electoral College,
you have the position,
the authority,
and the opportunity to go down in the books as an American hero
who changed the course of history.
Don't hold your breath. I'm David Wright for Nightline in Philadelphia.